Hey over there, Joe Lunchbox.
Joy Nightingale.
And today we have landed right here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, with the Italian last name I have in real life, a lot of people go ever say, Joe, are you connected? And I go, connected to Joy? Yes. And they go, that's not what we mean. You know what I mean? And I go, I don't know what you mean. They go, the Mafia? And I go, there's no such thing as the Mafia. That's what Italian people say. But behind us, I guess I was wrong, is the Mob Museum. And that's what we're about to check out today. We're gonna bring you along with us. So if you like this kind of thing, you should like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, comment down below. All that stuff's very appreciated. Much love when you do it. But it's time to do it. Mob Museum. Step right up. Let's go for this ride. There we have it. National Museum of Organized Crime and Law Enforcement. Look at it. An old post office, the P.O. boxes, the ticket window.
So, the building that this museum is housed in was the first U.S. Post Office and courthouse in Las Vegas, built in '33.
Yeah. Very cool. Museum starts on the 3rd floor and continues there. See, enter lineup. Go on, Mob in America. Showing the neighborhoods where crime flourished. Most of the cities have one or two neighborhoods.
In the police, the courts, their jobs.
Except for two, New York City and Chicago. From 5 Points to Brooklyn, the Hell's Kitchen, Lower East Side. Chicago has First Ward, Levy, Little Helping. Oh, so those are just other words. So New York has 4 neighborhoods, more than any of the others. We go through characteristics kids would have, like a class bully or a punk. Oh, he's getting older. I didn't read that. Acts crazy or Bugsy.
No one else. Jewish gang.
And you might be wondering, what is racketeering? Well, you see, racketeering is stuff like insurance fraud, extortion, running unlicensed gambling parlors. If your business is illegal, it's a racket. It could be something as simple as illegal cigarette machines or pizza parlors. Ooh, the drugs, the booze, the counterfeiting. I like the good old days. A good shylocking. It's funny, we're talking about gambling boats. It was anchored 3 miles off Santa Monica and Long Beach. A man named Tony Cornero, who was a bootlegger, figured, hey, I could open up illegal casinos in international water, until someone measured the distance and he actually wasn't in international water and they raided his boat, and that was the end of that. Since we are in Nevada, we have some early gambling games, these punch boards. It's cool, like we're in the police office, the file cabinets, we're investigating the organized crime. Ooh, early wiretaps. Could you imagine? Black Hand was an early Italian Mafia. They actually have postcards of their trials. We have the connecting the dots. And here we see how East Coast the Mafia was. And it spreads out though. Spots like Hot Springs in Dallas, Vegas. Funny, Reno, no dots are connected. It's its own little organized crime link. It's interesting when you look at all the dots connecting, that most of them either link to New York or they either link to Chicago. Other spots we have major connections, Havana and Las Vegas. Theme is cool, we're entering the Arizona Club.
Early nightclubs. We had black men.
What the Arizona Club was, when the railroad started coming through, and the town was formed in 1905, Las Vegas featured a thriving block of saloons that catered to visitors and railway passengers.
We have lots and lots of natural springs, plus we live in Colorado. In 1902, 1903, 03, somewhere around there, kind of hazy, 2 men approached her, the Clark brothers, who were silver barons trying to build a railroad from Salt Lake City to San Pedro, Los Angeles. They wanted to stop in Las Vegas, yet again, we had water. Good stopping point. So they purchased 1,800 acres of land from Helen Stewart. They set up the township, which is pictured right there. And up from that corner, this is the land auction took place within 2 days. It is 110 degrees in that photo in May. Men are wearing 3-piece suits, women are wearing corsets, and they're drinking alcohol. I think they had each drunk. Even though
We're in a replica of the first drinking hall, the Arizona Club, and first gambling hall.
That bar, that photo, is Wyatt Earp from OK Corral.
It started as a tent And then it turned to a proper building gambling hall with a big mahogany bar. And here we have a replica of that mahogany bar. It was crazy looking at this photo of this club in the early 1900s, the Arizona Club. We actually have Wyatt Earp from the OK Corral used to frequent that club. Vegas became a railroad stop because it had a bunch of water, and it was a good stopping spot between Salt Lake City and Los Angeles.
They came here because of the springs. This is not the springs.
Chuck-a-luck, dice game. A chuck-a-luck was a popular game of chance in the early 19th, the cage from the 1930s to 40s. I want to play chuck-a-luck here in Vegas. That sounds like a fun name. What do you gamble? Not roulette, not blackjack. I do chuck-a-luck. And talking about water, we're talking about water management in the 1920s. Please don't waste the water. We have to buy it. Three men in these photos. The upper right is a bootlegger, the middle is the mayor, and the upper left is a sheriff. All three of these men were running a bootleg con here in Vegas until the feds caught them. The photo that Liberty Last Stand, they had an actor playing a bootlegger, and they caught the man on the top, and instead of them all going to jail, the one without government official job is the only one that went to jail. The mayor actually even kept his job. Becoming a destination, 1934, Las Vegas welcomed 300,000 visitors. They came to see the dam, obtain a divorce, or strike it rich in casinos. We have some cool souvenirs. We can see it looks like a metal plate of the Hoover Dam. Some other souvenirs from the Hoover Dam.
But first, they have to go through a powerful Irish
Municipal Court. I love it. Imagine they have a collection. These are all whiskey bottles of Prohibition era. This is one of my favorite kind of slot machines because it's not just a slot machine. What you're doing is paying a penny for a cigarette. But when you're getting the cigarette, you have a chance to win something else. Pull knob below for gum. A penny smoke. El Dorado Parade, a local festival.
A woman was the first person to get legal gambling license in Las Vegas. And she ran casinos with her family for
People
several
building the Hoover Dam.
They did quite well.
And there's the Hoover Dam in construction. It's something I never knew of. Divorce ranches. Would-be divorcees needed accommodations for 6 weeks. Many stay at Western-themed ranches that sprung up in and around Las Vegas in the 1930s and 40s. Thule Spring Ranch, pictured here, opened in 1948. This is the original U.S. Post Office in the courthouse that now houses this museum.
Reconstructed the wall.
You talk about crazy things you don't expect to see. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre wall from Chicago. They said that a Canadian man bought it, numbered the bricks, took it apart, rebuilt it and would tour it and show it off, and then the Mom Museum bought it from him. And this is the wall against which Bugsy Moran's men were shot on February 14th, 1929. And the Canadian man was George Patty, and he moved to his nightclub in Vancouver, British Columbia. They said it's still installed. One guy that was alive after the shooting, when the police, he was in the hospital, he was like, no one shot me, I'm fine. Yet he wasn't fine. He had 14 holes in him. You could see the bullet holes where the bullets went through the people and hit the walls. Ooh, the Tommy gun. General John T. Thompson developed the Thompson submachine gun, or Tommy gun, in 1918.
The St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
They say Moran,
around the country.
his men were led to this wall
Became a tourist attraction.
because they heard there was a truck with moonshine in it, and policemen, so they thought, lined them up against the wall, but they weren't policemen, pulled out Tommy submachine guns and murdered them all. No one ever proved who did it, but they think it was Capone's men, because Capone's men were at war with Moran's men,
Machine gun bullets and 2 shotgun
main
blasts
bootleggers
were
around the
fired during
country.
massacre.
Capone was his right-hand man. When he retired, Capone took over, and that's when things got bloody.
Reconstructed the wall with the bricks in their original
Here's a scene of them loading trucks after the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Said the deadliest mob hit in America's history. And these aren't all the gunshot wounds. If you see, like, Peter Gusenberg had 11 gunshot wounds.
This was... Wait, which one was which? So it says that investigators recovered shells and bullet fragments from the floor of the North Clark Street garage and organized them in evidence envelopes.
We have some of the 4 pictures of where they were all shot.
Gang. Auto mechanic was a ex-safecracker, but then you have an optician.
It was called a noble experiment, but in fact,
Yeah, just in the wrong spot, the wrong day. His friend probably said, "Hey, can you come help me today?"
America forever.
One of the investigators fired bullets from guns that were linked to the people involved and people they suspected. Doing early, it says the father of ballistics, checking the bullets, how they looked fired compared to different criminals' guns, so they could compare them to the bullets they found at the scenes. Right now we're getting into fighting back, and we're showing cartoons where we're seeing people like J. Edgar Hoover, Mr. FBI, but comparing it to cartoons. Cops become cool, like Dick Tracy. And we're seeing all different toys that kids would play with to be the good guys, the law enforcement. More guns. We have a Winchester model 1897, which was a Thompson reproduction, aka reproducing the Tommy gun. We actually have one of Al Capone's revolvers that he got after he left Chicago and moved to Miami. Talking about targeting Public Enemy. And we have some of the main people they went after. John Dillinger, Pretty Boy Floyd, Babyface Nelson, and mine, Fred Barker. That's the family the Goonies was based after. Talking more about Capone, it's funny, they didn't catch him for all the crimes. What they caught him for was tax dodging, tax evasion. The richest man to die, replica of the Sing Sing electric chair, right there in New York. Old Sparky was his nickname. The only mob boss ever to receive the death sentence was Louis Lemke Buchalter, who died in Sing Sing's electric chair in 1944. The last electric chair execution at Sing Sing occurred in 1963.
Flip the switch. Flip your own switch. Nah. Oh, we gotta turn it off. Okay.
Just being respectful. We're bigger than steel. We're talking how it started to make networks with the different families. You see in different plates sitting at the table, and you could figure out the different people and see what they were for. See, you can learn about the bosses.
Yeah, New York City got Buffalo going on.
So being a New Yorker, the 5 families became household names. Bonanno, Colombo, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese. Hooray for Hollywood. Hollywood's glamour and big budget provide an irresistible combination for the mob. The roots of the mob influence were in 1934 Chicago, where Willie Bioff and George Brown, controlling the projectionist union, threatened strikes to extort money from theater owners. They later used several theatrical unions to shake down theater chains and Hollywood studios. But I always think it's funny how Hollywood definitely glorified the mob in some of its movies. It's a good museum. 3 floors. When we start the 3rd floor, it's a loop. You enter there. It's a big horseshoe. And we came out here, and this officer's here telling you have to enter from the entrance. It's the wrong way. We're learning about dealing drugs, and a lot of the Mafia in New York, like Joseph Bonanno wrote, "My tradition outlaws narcotics. The mob long-held principle of shunning the drug trade is often repeated and untrue." They said, gangs welcome any revenue source. By the mid-1920s, Arnold Rothstein was sending agents abroad to buy opium. When Prohibition in 1933, many bosses replaced bootlegging with drug dealing. On the staircase we get all the mug shots. Third floor is Birth of the Mob. We're going to Mob on the Rise, and the bottom floor is Mob on the Run. Courtroom. I'm getting some PTSD from jury duty. It's cool hearing about criminals actually charged in this room. We're in the courthouse. We just watched the movie about the criminals that were charged here. That's what my grandfather told me when I was young. No rats. You don't rat on people. Nevada legalized gambling in 1931. But who was running those casinos? Always love some vintage souvenirs. Those look like little salt and pepper shakers. Learning about the fabulous flamingo and how Bugsy Siegel took over it. First Mass Spooks flamingo included wording inside the book saying W.R. Wilkerson's management. Siegel took over. Those names were gone. I actually have a slot machine from the 1950s at the Flamingo. And it's always been about branding. Look at that. The Flamingo, the Fabulous Flamingos Hotel. So it's cool since we're in like the rise of the casino scene in Vegas. The feeling of the museum itself changed. They're showing on screen some of the casinos collapsing when they imploded them to make way for progress. When the Beatles played Vegas in '64, it was supposed to be at the Sahara, but there was such demand they had to move the concert to the convention center. The game continues. It just changes. Sands Entertainment Director posed with Marilyn Monroe.
Look at these guys.
$3 million easy. I want it. Give me some.
To steal.
It's not here for me to steal. It's fake money.
Tradition of kicking up to the boss. They would undercount the bills.
Oh, I love these slot machines with personalities. Try a snack at our coffee bar, looking like a cowboy or a gunslinger. And this 300 million, you see, we start like from 1,000. The numbers keep going up. It's all about the skim. What they're basically doing is skimming a lot of the money off top before the money got counted. To Howard Hughes, the first of landmark casino chips and tokens, with deep respect, love, and admiration. That is cool. It's interesting, they have Man on Elephant. It's Jay Sarno, was the ringleader in every way at Circus Circus. He brought fancy and families to the strip, changing Las Vegas forever. So figure, this man was the first man that went, why are we just dealing with adults? We could bring families in. And Circus Circus changed everything. We're figuring out things Mafia would possibly connect to, like where's Jimmy Hoffa? Talking about Kennedy. We actually have a bullet from Jack Ruby's gun. Warning, there is some graphic content in the museum. We're not showing it today, but I like that they do have a little bypass if you don't want to see it. The chair that was in Nevada's gas chamber. And every crime museum needs to have a collection of shivs. Stuff that is similar to me and Joy's life because we grew up in New York in the era of John Gotti. It's interesting stuff that we end with. Illegal wildlife trades, from African dwarf crocodile skin purses to cobra mounts, baboon skulls. We even went so far that we went south to talk about Pablo Escobar. All different movies and actors that played people in moth-based movies. To the fact we even have an original Godfather script, original third draft script. Even having some TV show clothing. We have Tony Soprano's outfit and a Breaking Bad hazmat suit. When we showed her the counter was the post office. Here we have the original 1933 post office vault. And since we're learning about Prohibition, that is right, they have their own speakeasy here. It's not that secret, it's on every sign. If you come from the outside, you do need a password though. Look at this, heading down to the speakeasy. Don't skip it. It looks like there's some cool stuff to see, even if you're not drinking. Frozen egg product. Just think, during Prohibition, companies had to stay in business. So Budweiser came out with 25 non-alcoholic products to stay in business. And then we have a cane that's a flask. Oh, look at this cute bar top dice game. We have a phone book from the Four Deuces. And look, it sells a phone. But it ain't just any kind of phone. Yep. Yep. Yeah, I'm not gonna rap. Nah, I say. It is funny. The Lizzie D, built in 1907, coal-fired tugboat, scores voyages in the Atlantic from its base in New York Harbor, and it was meant to be a tow barge, but it was secretly used to transport illegal liquors. We have a fish tank showing the sunken Lizzie D. This fish likes staying inside. I think he's trying to get some moonshine. At the speakeasy door. Let's get in. The speakeasy is cool. They have their own little moonshine. We bought our little souvenir bottle. And there are some added features you could do, like do tastings and take a tour of their distillery. Speakeasy is pretty cool. Like I was saying, you could get in from the outside as well. On the screen, you can see the doorman, you can see if anyone's coming down the stairs. Right through that door. So we came, we looked at the Mob Museum. It was like a family reunion for me. Looking at all those old family photos. No, I'm joking. Maybe. Who knows? I recommend it. That was fun. The fact they have a cool speakeasy downstairs. Yeah. We bought a little bottle of moonshine as a souvenir and a poker chip. Yep. If you have little kids, just be careful. Some of the photos can be graphic in there. It's the mob. They talk about mob killing mob. But it was very informative. I learned a lot. The fact that we saw the St. Valentine's Day Massacre wall
that was cool.
is nuts. I would recommend it. I think we can call it though now.
I think so.
The Mob Museum, been there, done that. Remember, folks, safe travels.
Good eats.
And live life.
President, and it brought the